Are you ready to see how cringe I am on camera?
I've seen all your videos already.
Yeah, but you haven't seen the outtakes. Groot. Hey guys, Hamish here and welcome back to MooshFit. In this video, I'm going to discuss improving my deadlift in 2 simple points. Firstly, exactly what I've done over the past 6 months to improve my deadlift. And secondly, the specific exercise that I plan to use over the coming months in conjunction with my deadlift to improve it even further. So, if you're like me and you're looking to improve your deadlift and get stronger, make sure you stick around. But before we jump in, if you're new here, welcome. I am also new here. My name is Hamish and the reason I recently started this channel is to help me track my fitness progress, to help other people track their fitness progress as well, and also to share what I learn along the way so I can give you guys some advice to help you optimize your progress. So that's what this channel is about, and that's what this video is about. If that's the sort of thing you're interested in, if you're looking for someone real and relatable to go through your fitness journey with you, then consider hitting the subscribe button down below to help out the channel, and I'll be sure to keep making more helpful videos for you all. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So I want to start by very briefly touching on the topic of squats as opposed to deadlifts. And the reason I want to do this is because from what I've experienced over the past 6 months, and this is point number 1, is that squatting will definitely improve your deadlift. To give you some perspective, I train at home and I only started squatting at the beginning of this year when I bought myself a cheap squat rack. So I haven't actually been squatting for very long at all. So if we go back to November last year, 2019, my max deadlift was 165 kilos or about 364 pounds. Since then, since being able to squat, I've actually focused very little on my deadlift, and instead, when it came to my leg workouts, I've used the squat as my main leg movement. In the period between January and May 2020, so this year, I improved my squat from 70 kilos or 154 pounds for 5 sets of 5 to 100 kilos or 220 pounds for 5 sets of 5. Nice. Now, obviously, because I was new to training the squat, not all of that increase was strength. It was partially due to the fact that I was training an untrained movement. But even with that considered, there was still a fair increase in strength using the 5x5 training method. But what I find most interesting is that without training my deadlift to its full capacity in that time, my max deadlift still increased 10 kilos or 22 pounds to 175 kilos. Nice. And that's initially what made me realize the importance of leg strength when it comes to the deadlift. What I think a lot of people neglect when it comes to the deadlift is how much lower body strength is required for the movement. And this is often reflected in those people's forms. What you'll see when they perform the deadlift is that their legs straighten before they've even reached the main part of the movement. And this leaves their back muscles to execute 90% of the exercise. Now this is bad for 2 reasons. The first is that your back muscles are not designed to be forced into flexion or rounding like that under that much load. It's like a year's worth of sitting with a rounded back packed into 3 seconds. The second reason is that your glutes, which are the biggest, strongest muscle in your body, aren't able to be used for the hardest part of the movement, which is bringing your torso up to vertical. Instead, you're relying on your lower, mid, and then upper back muscles to re-straighten your spine after being forced into flexion already. What should happen is the back remains as neutral as possible and that your glutes should be engaged from early on in the movement. Engaging your glutes early will ensure that the angle of your torso always moves towards vertical as opposed to horizontal. If you're not sure what it means to engage your glutes, or you know it's something that you personally struggle with, I'll make a video on that shortly. But anyway, back on track. To summarize this point, for a strong and healthy deadlift, you'll need to develop the appropriate leg and glute strength. And the number 1 exercise for that is, without question, the squat. This leads me into my second point, which is that even though, as we've discussed, the squat is without a doubt the best exercise for developing your overall leg and glute strength. I believe that the number 1 exercise, no, that's not what I want to say. I believe that the pause squat has even greater functional carryover to the deadlift than the regular squat. That's gonna be a fun little section to edit. So the reason that the squat has such good functional carryover to the deadlift is because of leg drive. The leg drive and engagement of the glute. The leg drive and engagement of the glutes required for the squat is exactly what's required to get the weight off the ground and to move the angle of your torso towards vertical in the deadlift. But the reason I believe that the pause squat could be of even more benefit is that the regular squat often uses the stretch reflex to get out of the bottom part of the movement. Now this isn't a bad thing, and I'm not at all saying that the squat is a bad movement because people can bounce out of the bottom of it. But what I am saying is that you don't have this advantage when it comes to performing a 1 rep max deadlift. You're picking the bar up from a dead start, hence deadlift. Now this point is particularly relevant for someone like me who trains their deadlift touch and go, which means that I do bounce the weight a bit off the ground at the bottom of each rep. This means that apart from the first rep of each set, I'm using the equivalent of the stretch reflex from the squat to get myself out of the bottom part of the movement. This means that if I don't train any movement that requires leg drive from a dead start, then this part of my deadlift is not going to progress that much. The pause squat is the perfect option because it requires leg drive from a dead start. This brings us to the final part of the video, and that is how exactly I plan to train my deadlift from here. As I said at the beginning of the video, for the last 6 months or so, I've trained the squat as my main leg movement. Now, over the coming months, I plan to train my deadlift as my main movement using the 5x5 training method that I've talked about a bunch on this channel already. I will still train 5 sets of 5 on my squat, but on a different day and not with as much emphasis because I'm not going to be looking to build that up, but only to maintain it. After training my deadlift, I'll jump into some pause squats as my main accessory movement. In this workout here, I also happen to train my pause squats for 5 sets of 5, but I may alter this moving forward from workout to workout. I think these 2 movements alone would constitute a solid deadlift workout, but I also want to work on my barbell row for some lower back stability and some mid and upper back strength. After my rows, I'll do another leg movement for some extra leg volume. Here you can see I'm doing some Bulgarian split squats, which are great for some single leg stability. And I'll finish off after that with some core strength work. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I'll be posting some updates over the course of the next few months about how my deadlift is tracking. In the meantime, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all again shortly. Cheers.